Hey guys, it's Graham. What's cracking? Today's read is not necessarily a fun one, but once I got it playing on the phone, um, I wanted to keep listening to it because I found it informative and enlightening. The book is called The New Trail of Tears by Naomi Schaefer Riley, from 2016. The premise of the book is that Washington's policies are screwing over Indians on Indian reservations. Um, Man, I have a lot of thoughts on this one, and I'm not going to do it any kind of adequate justice here. Um, there are snippets of what she talks about that I have seen through, as a matter of course, in places that I've worked over the time that I've been a truck driver. I've gotten to work at uranium mines in southeast Utah that were run almost primarily by Native American staffers, and I even got to talk to a kid one time who I say kid, he was 18, but he was married, and he had to supervise while I was loading sulfuric out of my tanker truck into their facility, and so we just shot the breeze for 45 minutes while the tanks decompressed, and he didn't have the roughest life, at least not that he divulged to a white boy that he just met. But I got the sense that, like, okay, yeah, this dude has grown up very, very differently from me, and that's just a condition of the fact that he's grown up as an enlisted tribal member on a reservation that's got some socioeconomic hiccups going for it. The basic summary of Riley's thesis is that the fact that the government keeps throwing money at the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Bureau of Indian Education and the various and sundry tribal organizations and governments, while also having laws in place as to how they can use the land that's designated to them on their reservations. And then she kind of goes state by state from there, like what laws they aren't allowed to enforce, how it all just kind of snowballs into this crappy malaise that then leads to an environment rife for broken homes and single parenthood and all kinds of other extremely heinous crimes that, at least in recent times, are starting to get just an inkling more attention than they have historically. 2017, there was that movie Wind River with Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen about a Cheyenne woman that was raped and murdered. This was a fictional account, but obviously based on things that happened with painful regularity. And I guess the movie, like, Jeremy Renner's a sniper and he gets hired to find out who did it and bring him to justice. But the movie closed with a stat about the number of women that get raped, murdered, or go missing on Indian reservations in the western United States every year, and how tribal governments don't have the authority to handle anything above a misdemeanor, and the feds either don't care or don't have the resources allocated to go in and pursue these cases, especially at the high rate at which they occur. And so it just leads to this continuous ongoing unbroken chain, of crime and pain and generational trauma and single motherhood and substance abuse and all that stuff. And like the really screwy part of it is that they did a study of these rapes and murders and stuff, but like especially the rapes, like 85% of the time the aggressor was like other Indians. It was just they've gotten so messed up in cyclical crime that the question then becomes like, well, how do we break this? And the government's answer is, well, let's just throw more money at the problem. Obviously, the problem is poverty, and they're only poor because they don't have enough money. Let's throw more money at it. And nobody wants to examine and say, like, is this freaking working? Obviously not, because how long has this been going on? Decades and generations, and the money is not the problem. And she really does a great job of on the journalism side of things. Like, imagine actual journalism of examining it line by line and layer and going out to these places and interviewing people where they've been able to implement policies that worked, But it really, at the end of the day, it came down to the willingness of individuals to sacrifice time and effort to make something work when you can't just write something on a piece of paper and throw money at it and make a problem go away. Like it takes a heck of a lot more than that. Um, this is a subject that has been of interest to me for a long time. Just the survivorhood and the ongoing endurance of these people that have continued through so much that's been thrown at them. But that isn't to say that en masse that they have all thrived. Riley gets into the numbers, and again, this was 10 years ago, so who knows what they are now, but she says that in the United States, there are about 3 million Native Americans, American Indians, and about 1 million of them live on reservations. Most of them don't, and the ones that can escape it because it's kind of a dead end. Even amongst the tribes, if they've got jobs in tribal government and stuff, it becomes a matter of nepotism to just take those jobs and protect them and give them to your nephew or your cousin or whoever. And it's kind of like dirty, sexy politics. It happens among them the way that it happens among us. Problems just perpetuate whenever a power structure becomes too powerful or too entrenched to be held accountable. It's almost like this is universal to the human experience. Anyway, I do recommend it as an enlightening text on a subject that deserves to be brought to light, and it highlights a problem that could really use a solution. It's not at all made any easier by the nouveau racismo of the last 18 years, because everybody's just so tied up and sensitive about, well, I don't want to do anything that could be even remotely perceived as racist. And it's like, well, the solution to this problem is obviously going to start with tightening the funds and changing the way that they are distributed and dispersed amongst the tribes. But that's not a rail of politics that anybody wants to touch. It's kind of like Social Security. But it's a little bit more complex than that. I'm going to just talk in circles before I get into any more specifics about what's in this book. It's short enough to read. The audio was 7.5 hours. I played it at like a 1.7 speed, so I got through it in about 4. But really good read. I'm going to go ahead and give it 5 stars. There was a lot to think about, and if you've read it, let me know what you think. I'm tired. I have done 52 hours of work in 4 days. I am going home. Drive safe. See you out there.